in terms of the growth of the church, I'd like to ask you a question about the next generation. Our children are really spiritual. They're aware of spiritual growth, but they're pursuing that spirituality outside the church. And frankly, in terms of don't include Jesus and maybe even God. Can you kind of comment on that?
I'm going to have you travel with me. Be my straight man. I have for a number of years done workshops in churches on generational difference. I have to tell you, the first time I did it, I was scared to death. I was a brand new bishop, and I mean brand new. And other people at this conference were the presiding bishop and the primate of Australia. And they were sitting in the front row while I was doing this. I mean, I was pretty nervous. But neither one of them fell on the floor, so I guess it was okay. We have some serious problems with the two generations that follow ours. And I say two generations because that's the way they do develop statistics on those groups. There's actually a third generation in between those two who are very mad because nobody does statistics on them. I'm not kidding. It's true. But they see the world in a different way. And part of the problem is that up till now, the church has primarily assumed how it is they see the church. We haven't bothered to ask them. In fact, I just discovered a book that was published in 2007. It's not very well known. The title of the book is on Christian. It's actually a statistical analysis, serious science done with those two groups, known as Generation X and the Millennial Generation. So that takes us from about 40 to 19. And this was done by the George Barna people, who are a serious statistical development organization. One of the primary problems that young people have with the church, they are deeply spiritual. You also have to remember, this is the same group that says, I'm spiritual, but I'm not religious. There's a point to that. The title of the book is On Christian is because they see us as unchristian. We say one thing, but we do another. And I haven't finished the book yet, so I can't give you all the statistics, but we get some clues from some things that are going on around the country. There's a little thing called the emergent church movement, which is a whole different kind of movement populated primarily by Gen Xers and millennials. Occasionally an old guy like me come in, but most older people aren't interested in their kind of religion. The ironic thing about it is that this population is theologically traditional, liturgically traditional, but socially liberal. The Episcopal Church, quite frankly, we say we're theologically traditional, but we mean our tradition. In the world of theology, the modern American Episcopal Church is not traditional. That's one problem. The other problem is that young people are looking for an experience. Most young people in emerging churches don't even care if there is a sermon. They're not there to get information. They're there to encounter the presence of God now, not later. So if what you do liturgically does not help them or provide an environment in which they can have an encounter, they're not coming back. And so we have some things to think about. I mean, I could go on forever with this. There's a long list of implications for the church. History workshop yesterday for one of our congregations. And one of the things I told them, that the problem we have is that we essentially think from the inside up. We're in the church and we think about those people out there and how they look to us from the inside. We have to learn to think from the outside in. And it's going to take an enormous shift for us to do that. It's going to take effort, commitment, intention. But we have to learn to see ourselves the way the world sees us. And we're not exactly at the top of many people's lists right now. And I don't mean just the Episcopal Church. Christianity gets labeled. So, for instance, all of the right-wing Christian groups that are opposed to the mosque in New York are hurting all of us from that standpoint. And so, which has nothing to do with whether you think the mosque is right or wrong. It's the vicious language around all of it that's creating a problem for the image of Christianity in America. And so we just need to learn to see ourselves the way those on the outside see us. They are deeply spiritual. We have a lot to offer them. But we also have to realize that they're different than we are. In my experience in parish ministry, when I became a priest 34 years ago, if somebody asked me or said to me that they wanted to know about prayer, what they meant was they wanted to have a class on the different kinds of prayer. We can debate about whether it's 7 or 5 or 3. Everybody has a scheme. But that's what we do. We have a class on the kinds of prayer. When a young person asks you about praying, about learning about prayer, what they mean is they want you to take it by the hand and kneel down right now and pray with them. They want the practical experience. They don't want theological ideas. And for Gen X and the succeeding generations, the Enlightenment has come to an end. The world of ideas is not important to them. It's not that they don't think ideas are good. It's just not what drives them. It's the world of experience. So anything to do with the church, we have to find a way to help them connect to an experience. They're not going to come to classes. I mean, I know the rector's doing an inquirer's class, and it's wonderful. They're not coming to an inquirer's class. But they do want to know what it feels like to be an Episcopalian. See, they don't feel they need the knowledge, they need the experience. So we have to approach them in a very different way. And we're not set up to do that, are we? We go right for the head, for the world of ideas. Because that's what we've been trying to do. We've been doing it since the early 1700s as a church. We have to make a serious, serious shift in understanding if we're going to appeal to those young people in any numbers. Now, like any other statistical stuff, it doesn't apply to everybody uniformly.